to the meeting. But let's get on with the presentation. So, like I said, Indra Vajra Vijanya Visha, aka synthetic prana, will corrupt the vibrational channels, which are very, important in our uh, for our health, because as you all know, prana is that intelligent energy. It is that maharasayana that is, giving us good health. It is balancing our mind, body, and spirit. So when the synthetic prana corrupts these pathways, the body gets confused and it causes all kinds of problems. Particularly the Marut predominant prana. That is the prana that is giving intelligence to our body. All the auto functions that happen, the heart beating, the liver producing all the enzymes and all the 500 plus functions that the liver has, all these things that go on in our body that we're not aware of, and the body is functioning flawlessly, it's because of this Marut predominant prana. And when that gets disturbed, it confuses the body. Then it also confuses the sandhis, or the gaps. And these are like between the neurons, there is a gap where communication happens and transformation happens. So it also disturbs that key area of communication. Cancer is a kind of autoimmune disease too, where the body has lost its intelligence and it's starts making large number of cells, and it's all because of the disturbance in the immune system. So ojas is a foundation of our health. When our body when you eat your food, it goes through this lengthy process of creating all the 7 tissues. We have 7 tissues in our body. And, the food that you ate today for lunch will approximately take 28 to 30 days to reach the deepest tissue, which is the shukra, or the reproductive tissue. And that is if everything is going smoothly. If there are disturbances in the fires, then that gets compromised. At the end of this long chain of tissue refinement and nourishment, we create what we call ojas. And this correlates to our neurotransmitters, our immune system, and also our hormones. So it's a very important foundation of our health. And these Indra Vajra Vijanya Visha, or synthetic prana, will compromise the production of ojas. It also affects mental health. I see that mental health has almost reached like epidemic levels. And it's because these toxins we cannot get away from vibrational toxins unless you're going to a remote beach or the Amazon. It's impossible to get away from this. So this particular detox, you have to do it on a daily basis. You cannot wait for a seasonal system that we have for cleansing the body. So in the modern day, the question arises, should we do panchkarma or shouldn't we do panchkarma? I see a lot of victims of panchkarma. Now, if you have a fairly healthy body and you have a regular, dinacharya and regular detoxification program, then panchakarma is great for you. But if someone has, a lot of diseases or even imbalances, some of the subdoshas are highly imbalanced. For them, if they haven't done a proper purva karma, it will create a lot of problems. Now, people always say they don't have time. Now, what happens is when when you try to take shortcuts in this, then you'll see that the toxins get released, but the body hasn't been prepared properly. Like the detox pathways or the organs of detox, the liver, the kidneys, the colon, and the skin, they haven't been prepared properly. So this is, it's a very tricky thing, and everyone has to use their discretion. I would suggest that it has to be the last resort. If you are doing a good detoxification on a daily basis, and then you're doing seasonal detoxes, panchkarma is not that necessary. And if the physician suggests it, you have to make sure that it is done properly. These three are the foundation of our immune system, the trinity: liver, gut, and bone marrow. And during a detox, I see that these three are, many times, if the detox is not done right, they get compromised, and they get, they go into detox crisis. Your liver is the most important organ, and it has over 500 functions. So we have to treat our liver like our best friend. We have to take care of it. It is also the main detox organ. So any of the toxins that come into the body externally, or even, the Amavisha, like the liver plays a very important role in detoxification. It has the 5 fires. There are 13 fires. Out of that, 5 fires are in the liver. They're known as the Bhutagnis. And the liver, even if 75% of the liver is compromised and almost destroyed, like it's non-functional, the liver can regenerate itself completely from that 25%. It is possible to do. Ayurveda has some fantastic herbs to regenerate the liver. So it's a very important organ in we take very good care of our liver. We always recommend to avoid certain foods, which I'll be sharing in the later slides, that can compromise liver health. So overheated liver, usually, if I find Ranjak Pitta in the pulse, it indicates that the liver is very angry, and it's overburdened with toxins. Toxins can come in through the food. If you're using dumb or dead foods that come in boxes, that have like these long lists, ingredient lists, that can really, confuse and overburden the liver. High sugar foods. And then many people eat the wrong kinds of oil. So any vegetable oil, or particularly canola oil, is known to cause a lot of inflammation. So in Ayurveda, we recommend either cooking with ghee or EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. And again, you have to make sure that it's a really good quality, because nowadays in our markets, we're finding olive oils that are, mixed with vegetable oils, and they're not pure olive oils. So make sure that you get the right kind. Sesame oil is also a good one to use for cooking. So other than that, we do not recommend any other oils, because they can, cause problems for the liver, and they can aggravate Ranjak Pitta. Pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals, and sometimes we have prescriptions that we cannot avoid, but there are certain things that we can do to pacify that liver and help support it, so that it can do proper detoxification every day. Nutraceuticals, lots of people take all kinds of supplements, and they think that, oh, I'm doing something good for my body. But these nutraceuticals, if they're made with synthetic ingredients, the body does not absorb it. So I just say it's a recipe for an expensive urine. And our food really, if you eat balanced and well, you eat whole foods, natural foods, you prepare the foods yourself, you can really support good nutrition through the food intake. And for certain, like if you're a vegetarian and if you're worried about vitamin B12, there are natural sources that, like people can take sublingual or transdermal vitamin B12. Skipped meals can cause a lot of problems because, skipped meals can create an imbalance in pachak pitta, which is the pitta that, governs the digestion. And then it also aggravates the five flames in the liver, and that can cause problems for the liver. How are your yoginis, these cute little bacteria and microorganisms that are the microbiome, like they're the friendly bacteria that colonize our gut? And there's so much modern research on this, but Ayurveda also mentions this in the ancient texts. And, we cannot stress enough how important these yoginis are, because they outnumber our cells. There are trillions of microorganisms in our gut. And the gut is known as the brain of the brain. We say, I have a gut feeling. That's because our gut can, it has so much intelligence, that and also the vagus connection, the vagus nerve is connected to the brain, and so there's an instant reaction. Anything happening, like many people, they react if there's a stressful situation, they will immediately have diarrhea, or they'll, that's because there's that instant connection between the gut and the brain. And these microorganisms, the friendly bacteria, they're also responsible for our immune system, because, like I said, they outnumber our cells. So you want the right kind of microbiome colonizing your gut. They are also, responsible for picking out nutrients from our food. It's like, they're the scavengers, and there's this conveyor belt of nutrition coming, and they pick out and nourish our body. So they perform many important functions. There are certain bacteria that produce butyric acid, which is, healing the gut lining. So I'll later on share a recipe that people can take for, supporting their microbiome. Bone marrow. It's a very important tissue, is the sixth tissue in our body, and it produces new blood cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, and also the platelets. It's also manufacturing our fat tissue, our cartilage, and bone tissue. And when all four toxins reach the bone marrow, you will find that, those, like, serious illness will, surface from that. And it's, at that point, it's almost irreversible. So in the Nadi Pariksha, we can detect these toxins in the bone marrow. And usually, if I see someone who has had some serious illness, I always find these toxins in the bone marrow tissue. So every good every good home panchkarma, or every good home detox, should have these three steps or stages. Purva karma, pradhan karma, and paschat karma. This is how we do panch karma clinically. And if we are doing it at home, we should also be doing all three stages, so that we prepare the body and the detoxification happens safely. So what is purva karma? Purva karma is when you're preparing the body, you're preparing the channels, the detox pathways, you're preparing the detox organs, the liver, the colon, the kidneys, and also the skin. And get your physiology ready to handle these toxins and safely unload this toxic cargo out of the body. Because if this is not done right, it can create detox crisis. Many people have, experienced that, like you get a rash, or there's a swelling around the spleen and the liver. There's all kinds of detox crises that can happen from improper preparation of the body. So eliminating for certain foods, once you decide that you're going to do a detox, you start preparing for it. So like maybe a week or so, depending on your lifestyle, you want to start eliminating certain foods. For example, if you're a coffee drinker, you have to stop drinking coffee. If you drink alcohol, high sugar foods, if you tend to eat a lot of processed foods, you have to slowly take those out of your body, or your daily intake, because then it balances the digestion and it prepares the organs. Also habits, if you have a tendency of staying up late in the night, we say 9:30 or 10 o'clock at the latest is the time to fall asleep. You should be asleep by 10. And if you're not doing that, that is causing a lot of problem for the digestion, and also like the liver gets overheated. There are so many problems that can arise from that. Hydration is important, because many of these toxins, particularly the Amavisha and the Garvisha, they tend to dehydrate the channels, the Shrotamsi. So hydration is important. We have special water is great. If you're interested, on my Instagram, I did a series of posts on water, and I shared some recipes. If you want, I can also email them to you. You can contact me. But generally, just water is great. Warm water, not ice cold or cold. Even in the summer months, always go for room temperature. And eating soma-rich foods, so foods that have, good water content. For example, cucumbers, zucchini, loki squash, which is also known as oppo squash. These are foods that can hydrate the channels. Lubrication of detox pathways is important, and it's because then when the toxins are released, they cannot damage the walls of the channels. And we do lubrication by two methods. We do it internally by cooking our food in good quality ghee. And ghee is not something that you just melt a brick of butter and call it ghee. It has to be made properly with cultured cream. And then you have abhyanga, which is application of oil on the skin, because skin is the largest organ, and it's also a very important detox organ. So lubricating is an important step. Balancing the yogini, so start taking a probiotic, or take the takra, which is a recipe that I'm going to share later on. So this establishes a good balance and prepares your body for the detox. Then we have pradhan karma, or detoxification. This is where you locate the toxin. Now, if you're not working with an expert, there's, you just generally do some teas or certain foods that allow the detoxification. But we have ways of knowing where the toxins are located. For example, if you have burning sensation in a bowel movement, then you know that the plasma tissue is where the Amavisha is. If you have burning in the urine, then you know that it's the blood tissue that has Amavisha. If you have itchy ears, because the earwax is created when the muscle tissues are created. So that if the muscle tissue has Amavisha, the earwax will also have it, and it will irritate the inner ear, and you'll experience itching. So there are ways we know where the toxins are located. So containing and then removing them safely. We use foods that are binders. Binders play a very, very important role in detoxification because they bind the toxin and safely remove it. They neutralize it, they alkalize it. So some examples for binders of toxins are okra, which is a vegetable. It's a slimy vegetable. Taro root is a good one. Barley is a good one. Coriander seeds, cilantro, they're very good for binding and removing garvisha. So there are these binders that play an important role. And then we also need to repair if there's any damage that the toxins caused, we have to repair that. Rasayana or rejuvenation therapy post detox is very, very important because you have unloaded that cargo. Now you have to fill that those areas or fill that void with some good food and good herbs. So we have in Ayurveda a very ancient formula called the Chavanprash, and Chavanprash is made the main ingredient of Chavanprash is amla berries, which are very high in vitamin C, and it has many, many herbs and many ingredients. So it's a very good rasayana. Green protein is an excellent recipe. This is from the Swa Kitchen, and it's my absolute favorite. And I'm going to share this recipe later on. So you can take a screenshot of that. This is a recipe that is very, very good in protein. It has many minerals, good ingredients, and it can reverse anyone who is very malnourished. It can turn things around for them very quickly. So this is a recipe that I recommend to all my clients. And then you have vegetables like loki. Loki or opo squash is a green squash. It's about this long and round like this, and it's green outside and inside it's white. So this Loki squash particularly, it improves the intelligence of your liver. So if you look, in my kitchen, we always have Loki squash in our fridge. We eat it like all the time. It is also known to nourish all 7 tissues. There are, few foods that can nourish all 7 tissues, and Loki is one of them, and it's a very inexpensive way of nourishing and protecting your liver. Asparagus, it's supporting the urinary system. Beets support and provide nutrition to the liver, and then moringa is a great one. I didn't list it here, but moringa is a great multi-mineral supplement. Very good protein, and also moringa is known to extract toxins even from the bone marrow. So that is something that everyone can add to their rasayana therapy. Then you also have rejuvenating herbs like amalaki, which is the amla berry, gugulu, guruchi, ashwagandha, etc. Vibrational toxins. So like I said, this is something you have to do it on a daily basis. You cannot wait for the seasonal detox, because otherwise the whole vibrational system gets disturbed because of this toxin. So indoor plants, there's a plant known as mother-in-law's tongue or snake plant. It's a great one to have. It's, even if you have a black thumb, it's very hard to kill that plant. So have that around your house. It's something very inexpensive, and it also, adds to the ambiance. Moon bathing is a great way. Particularly when there's a full moon, make sure that you soak in some of that soma, nurturing, cooling energy of the moon. Grounding, whenever season permits, we can ground in grass, like go barefoot in the grass, or if you're on a sandy beach, make sure you ground yourself there, walking near water bodies, gazing at water. If you have a river or a lake or a pond nearby, looking at the water, because our eyes are agnya organs and they get we are constantly staring at screens. So they get very heated and fatigued. And gazing at water or gazing at the moon can rejuvenate the eyes. Splashing cool water in the eyes. It's also important to take breaks from our electronic devices. Fresh cut flowers also help. Soma-rich diet. Soma is the nurturing, cooling energy of the moon. And there are many vegetables like loki or zucchini that have, good amount of soma. And eating these can help, balance our physiology. Vaidya Mishra also has certain formulas that help to create, treat these vibrational toxins. Emotional toxins are also there, or emotions can create toxins. What happens is when you have any low emotions like anger or sadness, it affects your uh, digestion because it's affecting the gastric fire. And then you will find that that will create ama and amavisha, but it also uh, creates this disconnect between the light of your soul and the mind, the prabha and the manas. And when that happens, you see pragya parada, or mistake of the intellect, when we self-sabotage, we do things that are not good for us, but we still do them because of pragya parad. And that creates a lot of physiological reactions, and it can create toxins in the physiology. Modern science has also proven that we store emotions and traumas in our tissues. So what are some of the important don'ts? We have to avoid colonics. I know I see it many times in some people. Some of my clients will say, oh, I did coffee colonics, or there's all kinds of colonics. They are very, very harsh on the colon. So one should definitely avoid it. Castor oil, it is, it does what the colon naturally does, and so it becomes habit forming. So does senna. Senna is something that can it's very habit forming, and then you just start depending on it, which is not good. Milk thistle is a very common herb that people take to detoxify the liver. Now what happens is, if you just go to the health food store and buy milk thistle and start taking it, the liver will release these toxins, and then the body is not ready. So now it's going to cause crisis in the body. So avoid milk thistle, burdock root, dandelion root. These are all very commonly used herbs, but they have a tendency of heating up the liver. I've also heard of this crazy cleanse, maple syrup cayenne cleanse. That also can really mess up the liver. Onions, garlic, hing, excess use of these can create, a lot of heating in the body. And also it compromises our microbiome, which can again affect our immune system and many other things. Vinegar is very acidic. Generally our body thrives when we are more alkaline, so vinegar has to be avoided. Flax seeds and flax oil, I see people who say, oh, I drink this smoothie every morning and I add 2 tablespoons of flax seed and hemp seeds and chia seeds, and I say, how do you feel? And they say, oh, I feel so full, I don't need to eat all day. Well, that is a flag. You should be hungry in like 3-4 hours. But if you're not hungry, it's saying that you haven't digested the food and you've just created a large amount of ama in the body. So these nutrient dense foods, they can create a lot of ama in the body. And and also they heat up the liver. So like I said, liver is the most important organ, and we protect our liver. So it's best to avoid these, they're called superfoods or super seeds. Fasting, it's also known as langana in Ayurveda. Now this, again, most of the North American population is pitta dominant, and fasting can be hard on the pittas. So be mindful of that and avoid it. It has to be done smartly if you do it. There is value in fasting, but it has to be done in a right way. And because Ayurveda is very customized, it's not one thing for everybody. So everyone has to see how their body reacts to it. Turmeric and ashwagandha. Turmeric is a superfood. It has the queen of spices and it has so many benefits, long list of benefits. But what has happened now is people have started taking it as a supplement in a capsule. And turmeric, it will detoxify the liver. It's a very potent detox spice, but it can also heat up the liver very much. So we've used turmeric for thousands of years. And how have we used it? We've used it with other spices. We've used it in our cooking. We've never taken it as a supplement. So turmeric needs a good fat medium. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that these toxins are also, they have different solubility. So some are water soluble, some are fat soluble, and some are vibrational soluble. So we have to know, like certain fat soluble toxins, they need ghee or good fat to safely remove. And when we introduce turmeric into the body, if it's just plain turmeric, it can cause a lot of problems. So I say avoid turmeric capsules, eat it in your food with a good fat like ghee, and along with other spices that balance the heating property of turmeric. So you have, coriander seeds or fennel seeds. We have an Ayurvedic masala blend that, uses the turmeric in the best of its capacity. So it enhances the functions or the benefits of the turmeric without causing any problems. Ashwagandha is another common herb that a lot of people are taking. It's an adaptogen, and many people are taking it, just searching on the internet and taking these capsules. But again, ashwagandha is very heating. It has a post-digestive effect of heating. So, we have to be mindful of that and avoid just self-prescribing. And then any Ayurvedic herbs that end with ras. Ras is an indicator that this Ayurvedic herb or formula has mercury in it. Mercury is a neurotoxin, it's a heavy metal, and it should be avoided. We're very particular in my practice. I'm very particular about these mercury and heavy metals in the formulas, and it gives Ayurveda a bad name because there's a lot of awareness now these days because of some herbs that were, or formulas that were found in some clinics. So I'm very particular about this in my practice, and I always recommend that you avoid taking any of the ras formulas. And of course, intake of toxins, it's like if you're not cautious about this, then it's like you can do the detox, but it's like shoveling while it's it's a full-blown blizzard. So intake of toxins, like what you're using on your skin and your body, what kind of food, if you're eating organic, read the labels. And then also vibrational toxins, taking breaks from technology and your devices is very, very important. So this is the recipe. And if you want, you can take a screenshot. It's a very, very good recipe for harvesting your yoginis. Now, if you're vegan, we normally don't recommend being vegan in SWA, but if you are, or if you're lactose intolerant, there are other ways of doing this. And maybe in the question and answer session, we can discuss this, but this is the recipe that I recommend, and it's using homemade yogurt, 1/4 cup, and then water, and then the spice and cilantro. And this can really heal the gut and reset your microbiome. And in India, we do this and particularly right after lunch or hot days, we tend to drink this takra, or it's also known as lassi. It's best to eat it, have it during the day and not in the evening, because sometimes it can be kaphagenic if consumed in the evening. So this is my favorite rejuvenation recipe, and it uses paneer, but paneer can be substituted with either with chicken or also with lentils. And it's a very simple recipe. Again, when you use paneer, you're supposed to make your own. It literally takes like 10 minutes to make, with lime, not vinegar. And use it with your choice of greens. I also like to add cilantro or parsley, but these are some of the choices you have, like spinach, Swiss chard, or kale. And it's not just the paneer and the greens mixed together, but how it is made. So after you're done cooking, we actually take a hand blender and blend it into a smooth paste. So what happens is that there's this micro encapsulation that happens. It breaks down and binds together, and the way the minerals and the nutrients are delivered to our tissues, it's just beautiful. And I see so many people who eat this and they have like reversed their malnourishment, or even like if they have iron deficiency, it's a very, very good recipe. So I hope you've taken a screenshot of this. And now we can open for question and answers if you have any questions for me.
Great, thank you very much. You did a fabulous job. It was very interesting. So what I'm going to ask people to do is, if you could, if you have a question, if you would like to unmute yourself and turn your video on, we can answer the questions. And maybe, Punima, can you take your presentation off the screen?
Yeah, I'll do that.
There's a bigger picture of you. Great. Then I'll see what's going on here. So does anybody, there was a couple of questions in the chats. Hold on. One of them was, can you speak a little more about moon bathing?
Yeah, so see, our prana, or the intelligent life force that keeps us alive, is made of 3 energies: Soma, Agni, and Marut. So Soma is the moon's nurturing and cooling energy. Agni is the sun's energy, and Marut is the space energy, the etheric energy that gives all that intelligence, because it's coming from the seed element. And generally, because of our lifestyles these days, and because of the electronic or the vibrational pollution that we have, it depletes the Soma. And Soma is the raw material for Ojas. Okay, so it's very important to keep our Soma balanced. And one way of doing that is by taking the moon's energy. And so when there's a full moon, if you go out for a walk, or even, if it's a cold, in the winter time, you can sit by a window that can let the moonlight in, and you can take on that moon energy, and that can, give that cooling and nurturing energy to the body. I hope I answered that question.
Another question was, what was the name of the indoor plant you mentioned?
It's called mother-in-law's tongue, or also it's known as snake plant. So it has these long green leaves, and it's very easy to look after. And you can have, few, like I also have one in my bedroom, so that it keeps, the environment in the room like free of those vibrational toxins. One thing I forgot to mention is I do not allow any electronics to enter the bedrooms. The phones and everything has to stay out, because when you sleep, at least you have to have that free, environment that is free of any vibrational toxins. And also switch Wi-Fi off at night.
Thank you. Another question is, can coconut oil be used for cooking? And is it good for detoxification?
So here's the thing, coconut oil, especially here in North America, we tend to have more colder weather. And during the cooler weather, the channels shrink. And you'll find that, coconut oil also solidifies. So it's more channel clogging. When I moved to Canada, that was the first time I saw solid coconut oil, because, back in India, it was always liquid. And in some areas in India, particularly in Kerala and the southern states, they use coconut oil regularly. But that's because their environment allows them to. But in North America, I feel that it's very channel clogging.
Can you tell me once again how the EMF toxin is bad?
Yeah, so EMF toxin, or vibrational toxin, it's known as synthetic prana in Chakavanshi Ayurveda. And what it does is it pollutes our intelligent life force, the prana. And because of that, it will create a lot of confusion in our body. It gets absorbed in different tissues. It also corrupts our synaptic gaps. So the information that is transferred in the nerves, like between the two nerve cells, that gets messed up and compromised. And ultimately, it can lead to a lot of autoimmune conditions, which we see are on a rise, since there's so much vibrational toxins.
Thank you. Also, someone was asking if they can use zucchini instead of the Loki squash.
Yeah, you can. However, there's more benefits to using Loki squash, because, like I said, it makes your liver intelligent, and also it nourishes all 7 tissues.
Is there a local ghee that you would recommend?
I say homemade is best. I actually teach people how to make ghee, but there are some ghees in the market that are made right. Like they start with cultured cream, and then that cream is churned and made into butter, and then that is clarified and made into ghee. That's the right way, according to Charak Samhita, how to make ghee.
Right. And in North America, we're just used to seeing a food on a shelf and thinking it's okay, right?
Right.
How many days should one do purva karma before a detox?
It depends how many toxins, where they're located, but I would say at least, start something like coffee and alcohol. You can start early on, because it also gives you those withdrawal symptoms, like headaches and things. But at least a week or 10 days, I would say start doing those things.
Great, thank you. There's some questions that I just like to say, Ayurveda is a very individual science. Like someone's asking, if someone has a pitta dosha, what should they do to lower the dosha? That's not a question I think that can be answered this evening. It's you need to see a practitioner to do that. It can have many, many facets to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1:15 and we're going to have to stop, but we're going to have you back. Obviously, many people are interested in the subject of food and detoxification and understanding more about it. So
Yeah.
I would like to thank you very much for your participation in the AAC.
Thank you so much.
Canadian, you know, there's not many of us Canadian practitioners around, so thank you for coming on.
And I'm so passionate about, you know, making Ayurveda a household name, and yeah.
Mission. Yeah. Well, thank you. And for everyone who's listening, you will be able to get a copy of this video to listen to for a few days. We're just in the process of uploading them and understanding how we can do that. And if you don't mind, Punima, I'd like to put those 2 recipes on our Instagram page tomorrow.
Sure.
Go with that, and I'll put your name underneath of it, of course, that you gave them to us.
Yeah.
And so for everybody who's listening, if you go to our Instagram page and like us on Facebook, if you haven't already, you obviously have if you're on this call, and share it with your friends to get them to like us. Those recipes will be on there tomorrow. And I would like to again say, you know, we would really need your support in the AAC. And I'm going to let Neelam take over that conversation right now.
No, there is not much to say, but first of all, Punima, excellent presentation, and we'd like to have you again. And I'm a big fan of Vaidya Mishra. I've been following him for the last 12 years, and I had privilege to meet him in person and all those things. So thank you for bringing that message and the SVA tradition.
Yeah.
And sharing that information. That's very interesting. And there are a lot of aspects that we could revisit in the next presentation. And thank you everyone for attending. I see all the familiar names. And so thank you everyone for supporting and attending this webinar with Ayurvedic Association. And as Erika already mentioned, we would want more members to join us so that we can bring more interesting webinars on a continuous basis. This organization needs your support, and we need to have a strong Ayurveda presence in Canada and larger membership so that we can bring more changes, bringing Ayurveda into our healthcare system, so that we can get free Ayurvedic treatment to be included in our MSP and also covered by our health insurance. So please support us. We need to increase the membership and we need your support. Thank you everyone and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Punima, once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.